AFR Talk.
You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. You know, one thing I might have mentioned in the story about Pastor Fielder is Red State has some more excerpts from some of his interviews, and it was kind of clear that he was ticked off at the Cochran campaign because they didn't pay him off. They promised him $16,000. They didn't give him a dime, and he was stewed over that. He got $300 when they promised him $16,000. And it was pretty clear from this interview that his next strategy was to go and try to shake down the McDaniel campaign. He was willing to go to the McDaniel campaign, sit down with them, and see what he could do for them in exchange for some payola. So that is the other side of that story. Now, let's play clip number 10. This goes back to what we were talking about moments ago. This is the response of the White House. Josh Earnest is the president's spokesman. Number, by the way, is 888-589-8840. But Josh Earnest is the spokesman for the president, and we had this Hobby Lobby case, says that the administration cannot force a privately held company to pay for abortion-causing medications for its employees. Can't do it. Prohibited by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act that was sponsored by Democrats, passed 97-3, and signed into law by Democratic presidents. Their own law, Chuck Schumer's law, signed by Bill Clinton, passed 97-3 in the Senate, their own law that came back to bite them in the leg on this deal. But anyway, they were slapped down again on religious liberty grounds and basically on First Amendment grounds, since the whole point of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is to restore First Amendment rights. So they got slapped down for violating the First Amendment. Now, you would think under a constitutional form of government that people would be prepared to accept that outcome. But here's a reporter talking to Josh Earnest, and the reporter says the court suggested in its ruling today that the Obama administration could expand an exemption on birth control coverage that you worked out with nonprofit groups that have religious affiliations. Is that what you're talking about doing for this case? Here's Josh Earnest.
No, what we're talking about doing is pressing Congress to actually take the step that's required to address this problem, to make sure that the women who work for these companies have access to the preventative coverage that they deserve, and that the Institute of Medicine, that's run by impartial, non-political scientists, believes that they should have access to. So that's what we're focused on, and we believe that this, because of the Supreme Court decision today, that Congress should act to address the concerns of the women who are affected by this decision.
Congress is divided as it is now. How likely is that to happen?
Well, we'll see. As we have with a range of other things, we'll consider whether or not there's an opportunity for the president to take some other action that could mitigate this problem as well. But again, we're still assessing the decision, so it's too early for me to state what kind of action would be available to the president, or what kind of action he would even consider at this point. But what is clear is that there is an opportunity for Congress to take the kinds of steps that would mitigate this problem, and we hope they will.
So there's Josh Earnest. I mean, the ink isn't even dry on the Supreme Court ruling, and already Josh Earnest is saying we will consider whether there is an opportunity for the president to take some other action that could mitigate this problem as well. What's that mean? The president's looking to go it alone again. What if Congress does nothing? Well, the president's going to look for a way to mitigate this problem. We are assessing. It's too early for me to state what kind of action would be available to the president, what kind of action he would even consider at this point. But obviously, they're talking about the possibility of the president going it alone again. Now, let's talk about the immigration thing just for 1 second. This is clip number 12. We've got a serious problem down there at the border. It's getting worse by the day. Fifth Circuit now said that illegal immigrants that throw rocks at Border Patrol agents can sue. They're in Mexico. They're living in another country. They throw a rock, which is a lethal weapon. People have been killed with rocks. They've been injured with rocks. One Border Patrol agent was trying to secure an illegal alien. Mexicans on the other side in another country throwing rocks at him. He fired in self-defense and killed one of them, killed somebody who was throwing lethal weapons at him. And our Fifth Circuit said he can sue this illegal alien who doesn't even live here, is not a citizen, therefore has no constitutional rights whatsoever, that person who lives in another country can sue a Border Patrol agent simply for defending himself in civil court. It's obnoxious. It is obscene. But anyway, that thing is a huge problem. We've talked about the problems with diseases. I've got another story in the stack about the number of SIAs. These are special illegal aliens. I forget the exact term, but they are aliens that are coming from countries that sponsor terrorism. And this source inside the Border Patrol is like, we have a real problem with this. We have got special interest aliens, people from countries that sponsor terrorism. They're coming across the border with all these other illegal aliens. They're passing themselves off as Mexicans, by the way they dress and so forth. They're passing themselves off as Mexicans, so they slip through the screen. Now, here's Barack Obama, clip 12, talking about this crisis.
Today, I sent a letter to congressional leaders asking that they work with me to address the urgent humanitarian challenge on the border and support the Immigration and Border Patrol agents who already apprehend and deport hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants every year. And understand, by the way, for the most part, this is not a situation where these children are slipping through. They're being apprehended. But the problem is that our system is so broken, so unclear, that folks don't know what the rules are.
Well, you got to ask yourself the question. I mean, we agree. Our system is so broken, folks don't know what the rules are. He's exactly right. But you have to ask yourself the question, well, whose fault is that? Who broke the system? Who has, by his communication, made things so confusing that people don't know what the rules are? Well, that's President Obama. He's the one that broke the system. And so he will do this thing repeatedly. He'll take policy actions that damage some kind of fundamental structure or element of our culture. It gets broken, it gets damaged, and then President Obama kind of shows up like somebody else did this. Who did this? Wow, we've got a problem. We need more government and more taxes in order to fix this problem that he himself created. And then he shows up on the scene as if he just got there and somebody else is responsible for all this mayhem. Well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's take a call from David in Tyler, Texas. David, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. Great show today.
Thank you.
One plug and 2 points in 30 seconds. Please, everybody, go see Alone Yet Not Alone and Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, America. The second point is, you were talking about not voting. Christians got a bad rap the last presidential election because so many stayed home because they couldn't make themselves vote for either Barack Obama or Mitt Romney. And I think that was a mistake. However, when there's out-and-out apparent vote buying, like in Mississippi, then I think Christians have to use discretion about voting. My third point, Brian, and thank you, is I'm an unbiased physician who is a scientist, and every woman has access to birth control. They just put their knees together.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. That's all the birth control that you need. It's abstinence. Our message is very simple. I mean, it can be summed up this way: abstinence before marriage, fidelity after. That's it. Abstinence before, fidelity after. 4 words that summarizes the wisdom of the Bible with regard to sexual activity, and it works every time it's tried. What happens if you practice abstinence before and fidelity after? Well, number one, you have no unwanted pregnancies. You have no sexually transmitted diseases. You have no broken hearts because of the bond that's formed through sexual union that then gets shattered. You have stable homes. You have a stable environment to bring children into the world. Children aren't brought into the world until after the marriage has taken place. So those 4 words, if we made those the basis of our public policy, abstinence before, fidelity after, would be the secret to strong and stable families. Let's play one last clip. Hillary Clinton, clip number 11. This is Hillary Clinton, her reaction to the Hobby Lobby case, and I want to get back to what this doctor just said.
And it is a disturbing trend that you see in a lot of societies that are very unstable, anti-democratic, and frankly, prone to extremism, where women and women's bodies are used as the defining and unifying issue to bring together people, men, to get them to, behave in ways that are disadvantageous to women, but which prop up them because of their religion, their sect, their tribe, whatever. So to introduce this element into our society, look, we're always going to argue about abortion. It's a hard choice, and it's controversial. And that's why I'm pro-choice, because I want people to be able to make their own choices. And it's very troubling that a sales clerk at Hobby Lobby who needs contraception, which is pretty expensive, is not going to get that service through her employer's health care plan because her employer doesn't think she should be using contraception.
Well, that's just wrong on so many levels. Number one, Hobby Lobby does not oppose contraception. 16 out of the 20 contraceptives that you can buy, they provide for their female employees under their health care plan. They just do not want to abort unborn women. And what Hillary Clinton does not understand, this is not about a woman's body. This is about the body of her baby. Women have the right to do whatever they want with their bodies. They don't have a right to do whatever they want with the bodies of their babies. Well, that's it for today. Bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap. We'll see you tomorrow. Never forget, we are fighting a winnable war. See you then.
The views